Hello everyone, myself Vaibhav. In today's session, we are seeing the risk on undertones in the market, and as a result of that, there is a fresh buying momentum in the USD JPY also. If you consider the equity space, the start to the month has been good, and most of the equity indices around the world are trading on the higher side. If you consider the European equity indices, there are gains of more than 1 percentage point, and same is true for the futures for the United States indices as well. If we see the data rocket, we had plenty of data releases coming in for the day, including the unemployment numbers for the Japan. We got the PMI numbers for the China, and for Australia there was this all important interest rate decision in which, as expected, the Reserve Bank of Australia left its interest rates unchanged at 0.1%, and in its monetary policy announcement it has emphasized that it stands ready to do more if the situation demands, and it is not going to raise interest rates at least for next 3 years, and it will be continuing with its accommodative monetary policy stance, and it will keep reviewing the asset purchase program depending on the economic outcomes. Moving on to the European trading session, we also got the unemployment rate numbers for the Germany, and here there is slight improvement where the Germany's unemployment rate for the month of November is lower at 6.1%, and at the same time we got the final readings for the manufacturing PMI both for the Euro area as well as the Germany, and there were manufacturing PMI numbers coming in for other European economies as well, including Italy, France, United Kingdom. We will not go into the details of that. Moving on to the North American trading session, we have the ISM manufacturing PMI data coming up, and I think I skipped this inflation point. We also got the Euro area inflation numbers, and here, as expected, the inflation, the CPI reading for the month of November stands at minus 0.3%. That means the Euro area is in deflationary zone as the demand has crashed, and as a result of that the supply is overflowing, whereas not many buyers are there, and that is pushing the prices lower. Now moving on to the North American trading session, we have the GDP numbers coming up for the Canada, and then we also have the manufacturing PMI numbers coming in from the Institute of Supply Management for the United States, and I think the robustness of expansion in the manufacturing sector for US is likely to continue, and we might see the ISM manufacturing PMI stand above 58 for the month of November. We will also be getting the policy commentary from Mr. Jerome Powell, as he is going to testify for the before the Senate Committee on Finance. Now moving on to the technical analysis. First we will see the USD JPY, and then we will also see what's happening in the USD Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's start with the USD JPY's technical outlook first. This is the daily time frame chart, and here we have this consolidation phase where on the lower side the USD JPY is finding some buying momentum, and now after its reversal in yesterday's session, I think the near-term outlook is changing for better on the bullish side. Even in yesterday's session of market movers, I had talked about this possibility of USD JPY starting to move higher, and that anticipation has come true, and we have fresh opportunities emerging for us to get involved on the long side trades in USD JPY in today's session. From a longer term perspective, the trend is still bearish, but here looking at its immediate support area, I feel from short to medium term perspective we can expect the USD JPY to rally higher, and this resistance zone, the price area around 105, can be its next target. if it holds on to the recent gains. So looking at the lower time frame chart of 4 hourly, we have this crucial price area coming into play around the central pivot point of this month's pivot point series. This series started today only, and we have this price action converging closer to the central pivot point, and now it is going to be important to see if it is able to cross and hold above this central pivot point. If it does, then that will be a clear sign of possible reversal, and maybe in the latter part of month we will see USD JPY climbing higher towards even this first resistance price area, which is well above 105. So this price zone is going to be of crucial importance, and as I said, from shorter term perspective, things are looking bullish for the USD JPY, and that can be testified from the fact of these regression curves flattening. Also, we have now the price action above this middle band, and in due course of time, if the situation holds well, we might even see it slowly starting to tilt on the higher side. So that is the possibility which we will try to exploit in today's session. So for us, the near-term support is going to come into play around this price zone of convergence of these three crucial SMAs, the SMA 50, SMA 100, and SMA 200. These three SMAs are converging closer to the 104.2, and I think for short term, as long as the USD JPY is holding well above it, we can be hopeful of continuation of the upward momentum in the USD JPY, and our risk reward ratio is also going to be favorable, as we can utilize this price zone as our crucial marker, and as long as the price action is well above it, we can be fairly confident of the continuation of this trend on the long side for USD JPY. So if we want to go for a fresh trade in today's session, I would say that we should be striving to get the entry point as close as possible to this convergence area, the 104.15 to 104.2 price band, and on the lower side this immediate swing low, which is there around 103.9, can be utilized as the stop loss level, and unless and until that prior low gets broken, we can be we can be confident of the continuation of this bullish momentum on the lower time frame chart, and relying on that, we can keep our targets on the higher side closer to the 105 zone, and the risk reward ratio is also going to be favorable for us, and it will be better than even 1 is to 2. Now moving on to the equity segment, here we will see the Dow Jones Industrial Average Technical Outlook. This is the daily time frame chart, and for the equity indices of the United States, November was a phenomenal month, and it was one of the best months in last couple of decades, and that is fairly visible on this chart also, where it started close to the 26,000 and climbed all the way towards 30,000. In today's session, again after yesterday's correction, we have this fresh buying momentum and pushing the Dow Jones Industrial Average towards its all-time highs. We are not really far away from the all-time highs, and maybe if the momentum holds, maybe even in today's session we will see a fresh all-time closing high. So that possibility is also there. So we are banking on this continuous upward momentum. Even in yesterday's session, I had emphasized on the bullishness of the equity indices for the United States. Yesterday we saw the technicals for the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average projections are not much different. Here also the undertone is bullish, and as a result of that, it will be better for us to look for the buying opportunities in today's session. So coming to the lower time frame chart, we have this regression curve as well as the pivot point series pointing towards the long side, and we will have to see what kind of price levels can be targeted for the optimum entry and exit points. Right now, the price action is caught in between the central pivot point and the first resistance, and there is no immediate marker in the near term which can be safely utilized. This central pivot point is also far away from the current valuation, almost 4 to 5 percentage points. So that's not really helpful. The only thing which we can infer is that the undertone is bullish, and that is fairly evident from the price action itself. So more or less, we will have to move on to the lower time frame charts of these three SMA formation, where I think the 200 SMA can be utilized as our marker when we are going for the fresh long trades in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. As long as the price is holding well above this 200 SMA support, we can be fairly confident for taking new positions in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Right now, the price action is far away from this desired entry point. We have now the price action consolidating closer to the prior swing high, and if we see a fresh swing high being established just little above this prior swing high, then that will also confirm the formation of the higher highs in the near term. And then afterwards, if we see some sort of correction and then do consolidation, we can look for fresh buying opportunities as long as the price action is holding well above these 200 SMA area. And on the higher side, the price targets can be worked out closer to these 30,200 or even beyond that. I am expecting the momentum in the Dow Jones Industrial Average to propel the DJIA to new all-time highs, and if that is going to be the case, I think it will be better for us to get involved. But the point remains that our risk shouldn't be too much, and to curtail the risk, we will have to rely on the optimum entry and exit point, and that requires us to be patient. And only when we see the price approaching our desired entry points, on those such instances, we can think about getting involved for the fresh trade in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And if you want to keep the stop loss, this prior swing low which is there around 29,450 can be utilized as our stop loss for this trade. And on the higher side, the price works out fairly close to this prior swing high which is there around 30,200. And with the help of this formation, we will be getting the risk reward ratio which is going to be closer to the 1:2 desired parameters also. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. Subscribe to the Ducoscopy webinar channel to stay updated on the developments in the financial markets. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.